Welcome to Retirement GPS, navigated by Zynergy, your roadmap to a secure and confident retirement. Each week, we explore strategies, stories, and planning frameworks designed to help you navigate the complexities of life after work. From tax planning to investments, income strategies to risk management, our goal is to give you the clarity and confidence you need to make informed decisions. But retirement isn't just about the numbers. It's also about lifestyle, purpose, and peace of mind. We're here to guide you through both the financial details and the personal dimensions of this next chapter. Let's chart today's course.
Welcome back to the Retirement GPS podcast. I'm Ryan Zaharchek, certified financial planner, president of Zynergy Retirement Planning, and your host today. And of course, I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, the usual, Zane Belsack, our co-host today.
Hey, thank you, Ryan. I'm hyped up. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, me too. This is a pretty cool topic. It's a topic you probably wouldn't expect normally to come from a retirement planning firm, but it is definitely a problem. We see a lot of problems of how people behave and how people react. And even in the investment world, the tax world, this is a behavioral problem. This is a lifestyle problem that we see. Really, it's when most people get very, for lack of a better word, set in their ways with how they manage their money and how they do things. They earn a certain amount of money every single year, and then they take a portion of that money and they save it and they put it away. And frankly, that's what they were taught from as a kid, hopefully, is save a portion of your money. So once you start working, once you start earning, you start putting it aside and saving it for the future. But what happens is then retirement comes and they've done everything right. They've done the hard part. They put all that money away and they built up this wonderful nest egg. And for the people that we're dealing with $3, $4, $5 million plus nest eggs, they've got plenty of money to live comfortably, but they really struggle with the mindset of they're no longer accumulating wealth. They're no longer growing their net worth. And their net worth will grow, but it's not their job to do it. It's their money's job to do it. It's their job now to live and enjoy the money that's grown and what they've saved and put away.
Now, it really seems like and I think it's a good problem to have. You spent your entire life building up this great portfolio, and now what? You're just not going to spend it, or you're not going to spend enough of it?
Yeah, and like a lot of the problems that we deal with in this industry, they are good problems to have in general. And you may even be listening to this podcast and saying, why am I listening to this? That's not my problem. No, I want to make sure that I've got enough money to be comfortable. Maybe that is the case. Maybe that is your problem. And we have a lot of other podcasts on that. But this is actually a problem that we see. And it may be a problem that you have you don't even know about, because maybe you are retired listening to this podcast and every month you're setting aside money, the money that's being distributed to you from your retirement accounts or Social Security or other income sources, and you're just setting it aside. And you don't really need to. That's not really the objective here, at least how we have structured things. So I want to start with a story, as we always do. And a couple came into our office, Linda and Mark. Linda and Mark were retiring. We put together a retirement plan for them, and they're in great shape, sort of what I would call our ideal household, our ideal member. They have a multi-million-dollar portfolio. The house was paid off. And through our retirement plan, we developed all kinds of sort of tax-efficient strategies, estate planning strategies, and an investment program so that they could live really comfortably for the rest of their lives. But every time it came to spending and every time they had these big dreams, and we always start with our goals. If you listen to our GPS process, we always start with our goals, and they have these big goals, these big ambitions, these trips they wanted to take, these things they want to do for their kids. But every time it came up, hey, we want to do this, Mark would hesitate and would say, let's wait one more year. Let's just see how the market does. Let's just make sure that everything falls into line. But the truth is, nothing was wrong financially. They were perfectly fine. As I always say, 1 year in the market should not affect their spending. That's not how we do retirement planning. Retirement planning is not like, oh, we had a good year in the market, now go spend. Oh, bad year in the market, maybe you should pull back.
You can't pay your mortgage.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, guys.
Hopefully you don't have a mortgage, but if you do have a mortgage, or you can't pay your property taxes or something like that, we don't want to have that happen anytime due to any kind of economic environment. And in fact, economics pay very little into our retirement planning and what we do and how we do things. But they did a great job building the wealth. It was just the habits that they've built for 30 plus years to save more, spend carefully, delay gratification. These are all really powerful habits. These are habits I'm trying to ingrain into my children, my kids in their late teens and early 20s. But what really the problem for them was, it kept them enjoying what they had built. And my biggest conversation with them every time we met, especially on lifestyle, was, when are you taking that trip? When are you going to buy that boat that you've wanted to buy? So the real issue for a lot of retirees, and it isn't always whether you have enough, or isn't always whether did you keep up with the S&P 500 last year. It's really whether that you trust that it's okay to use it, that it's okay to spend it, that it's okay to enjoy yourself. It really is more of a mindset than math. We've handled the math. We handle the math for people. That's what we do. It's nice. You don't have to do the math. You don't have to think about it. When we tell you that you can spend a certain amount of money, it's because that's what you can do for sure. But saver habits, they do not automatically turn on a dime once you retire simply because you say, well, I'm not earning anymore. I'm not going to save anymore. Now I'm going to go out and spend. And the common fears that come from that are running out of money, market uncertainty, or just making the wrong decisions. And wealthy retirees, you can still feel financially insecure no matter how much money you have, which may sound foreign to you if you don't have a lot of money or you're trying to build that nest egg and saying, I don't understand that. How could they be financially insecure? And the answer is those financial insecurities never leave you, oftentimes, no matter how much money you have.
Now, Ryan, I'm going to ask you a question. I think a lot of people are also thinking this too, but what exactly is enough? Can you give me some dollar amounts here? How much do I need to retire?
Sure. Yeah, no, it's a great question. And honestly, there have been commercials through the years about how much is enough? What's your number? Yada, yada. The truth is, it's not a net worth number. In fact, I'm constantly trying to show people that enough really comes down to you and not so much a number. I have had people, I had a gentleman that retired with $500,000 to his name years and years ago. And he lived off of 4% of that, and he lived a super comfortable life. And you might say that was, pre-inflation, and to some degree you're right, but it wasn't a ton of money even in today's dollars for retirement. But he lived comfortably because he had a paid-off house, he had a pension, he had Social Security, and he didn't really have big ambitions. So he lived very comfortably. I've had other people retire with $2.5 million that couldn't make ends meet and were spending way more than they should have. So enough really means, to me, that your lifestyle and the way you want to live it is supported, right? That your risks are addressed. We're always very concerned about risks. We're like the attorneys of the field, where we're looking at plugging risk holes, making sure that if the market corrects, are you going to be okay? If you have a major health event, are you going to be okay? If you need to go in a long-term care facility, are you going to be okay? So making sure those risks are addressed, making sure that you're not constantly second-guessing every decision and watching the stock market to feel comfortable. We don't want you thinking, the market's up, I feel good. The market's down, I feel terrible. That's not what enough is for us. Enough is not worrying about that and having a rate of return that is comfortable, but you're not focused on the daily swings.
So it's really just focusing on your gods in this case. And we've talked about what gods are in a prior episode, but to refresh, your goals, opportunities, dangers, and strengths.
Correct. Yep. And that's why it is so important for us when we start our process of financial planning is to dive into those gods with people, because we do want to understand what are their goals, what opportunities are available to them, what are their dangers, and what are their strengths, so that we can determine those types of things. How do we manage to those things to make sure that they feel like they have enough? Because as I said, enough is different for everybody. The problem is the cost of staying stuck, the cost of not getting through that is in those early days of retirement is when you have the health to do the things that you should be doing or that you want to do. Those things like travel, spending more time with children and grandchildren. And if you're underspending because you're afraid or because you don't feel like you have enough, then that's a cost to you. That's a cost to your lifestyle. Delaying those meaningful experiences, regret it down the road, and we want to make sure that doesn't happen. Living in constant high-level stress, so just being where you're constantly checking the markets, you're constantly worried every time the market corrects 5, 10, 20%. We just had a podcast recently where we talked about market corrections, and a 5% correction is happening 3 times a year. If that stresses you out, you know you're going to be stressed out on average 3 times a year. 10% correction happens on average every year. So you know you're going to be stressed out constantly, all the time, unless we're in the middle of a bull market where the market goes straight up. And by the way, that happens a lot less frequently than the volatility. We just don't want you to have that. You shouldn't be worried about that with the right financial plan. And then, like I talked about, missing those healthy, really active years of retirement because you're too worried. By the time you stop worrying because you don't have enough life left, you're not going to have enough health left to enjoy it.
Like the go-go years.
The go-go years, the slow-go years, and the no-go years. Yeah. We don't want the go-go years, which are typically those early years of retirement, to be sacrificed because you're worried. So really what I want to do is, how do we solve this problem? What is the thinking that you need to incorporate so that you can make this shift? The first one is moving from a constant growth mentality that I need to grow, I need more. I got to tell you, the difference between $6 million or $7 million on your net worth, the difference between $3 million and $4 million is extremely minor in your lifestyle. Once you hit a marginal level, everything above that, yeah, it may be a little extra icing on the cake, maybe an extra cherry on top of your cupcake. But I can tell you right now, studies have proven time and time again that the happiness is not going to increase. So once we hit that certain marginal level, to hit that optimal level of happiness. So stop thinking in terms of growth and start thinking in terms of income, right? So if you view your retirement as one big pile of money and I want to see it grow, you're going to be stressed a lot because those market volatility periods are going to stress you out and they're going to affect your decision making. You need to think of it as a stream of income. This pile of money is turning into a stream of income so I can live my life. And my financial advisor, i.e. Ryan or Zane or Zinergy, has told me, don't worry, you're still fine to distribute this stream of income no matter what's going on in the market. And if that's the case, then I really shouldn't be worried because I'm not seeing it as market fluctuations. I'm seeing it as those streams of income over time. You need to start viewing your plan as in totality over the rest of your life, over the next 30 or 40 years of life, as opposed to just year to year, day to day, market fluctuation by market fluctuation. So simplify and coordinate. Simplify your investments. Simplify your taxes. Your withdrawals. Make sure the places you're withdrawing from are all coordinated with your advisor. And then, of course, your estate planning. And if you build a plan that reduces that decision fatigue, you won't be second guessing yourself all the time and you'll be able to comfortably spend responsibly. And ultimately, that's the last point here, is a little bit of self-care. Give yourself permission. You've worked hard. You've earned it. If your financial planner is telling you you can do it, then give yourself permission to spend responsibly, spend comfortably. Go out and do what you want to do that you've already built into your plan. Don't put it off because I'm just not ready yet, or I want to save a little bit more.
See, I like those last 2 points, and it's something that I want retirees that are listening to this to think about. If you're retired or if you're moving into retirement, if nothing else changed, how comfortable would you feel increasing spending next year versus this year by 20% just for 1 year? Things like a big trip. I want to go to the Cayman Islands. I want to buy a boat. I want to buy a second home. Those are really big increases in expense, and these are you need to prepare for. And if you're not, we need to really talk about what's missing. What are we missing here, or what's the worry that's keeping you from doing this increased spending?
Yeah, and that's the point, is those are the types of things where increased spending, one-off increased spending, is something that is built into our plan as understood. That may happen, and it almost will certainly happen in any given 1 year, as long as it's not a recurring occurrence. So you should feel comfortable that on occasion, rarely, you do have a year of high spending because you're doing something that's big one-off, as Zane mentioned, buying a boat. If you're doing it right, you're not buying a boat every year, right? So you buy a boat once, you enjoy it for hopefully 10 years or something like that, and that boat lasts you for a long period of time. So these are the things that we want you thinking about. So just to reinforce, retirement is not just about having wealth and continuing to grow that wealth, but it's using that wealth well to make sure that you're enjoying your lifestyle, to make sure that you're enjoying your retirement. It's not about maximizing returns. It's about maximizing the life that your wealth supports. And if you're approaching retirement and you want a little more clarity around that because you don't feel comfortable with what you've come up with, what can I safely spend? Well, that's the kind of conversation that we have with people every day. So feel free to reach out, give us a call. We're happy to help. Find someone in your area. Find a fee-only fiduciary that specializes in this, specializes in retirement planning and helping you come up with that program so that you can feel confident and comfortable with your wealth.
A good point to keep in mind is, all things considered, fingers crossed, you only need to retire once, but people like Ryan and Zinergy retire people every day.
Yeah, that's it. And if you do it right, you should only retire once. Right?
Exactly.
I don't know about every Walmart creator out there or the guys working at Home Depot sometimes, but
you don't want to. Yeah, you don't want to have to retire twice. Is what I'm saying.
That's right. Yeah, if you're doing it right, you have zero experience doing it, which means talking to somebody that does it for a living is probably a good idea. That's it for today, though. Thanks so much for tuning in. Keep learning and keep planning.
Thank you for listening to Retirement GPS, navigated by Zenergy. To explore today's topic further, visit our blog mile markers at zenergyretirement.com/blog, where we offer detailed strategies, examples, and downloadable tools to support your retirement journey. Follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook at Zenergy Retirement Planning for weekly insights, checklists, and planning reminders. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share it with someone planning for their future. Until next time, keep navigating toward a confident retirement. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended as investment, legal, or tax advice. Listeners should consult their own financial, tax, and legal advisors before making any decisions. Zenergy Retirement Planning is a registered investment advisor located in Red Bank, New Jersey.